Okay, we have, what I want you to do next is, okay, I had you circle all of the subordinating conjunctions. Then you'll need to, circle the coordinating conjunctions. Then put all your brackets in like I had told you to at the beginning of those. Then you need to go back up through and notice what you have in brackets. Everything that you have in brackets should have a subject and a verb. And then everything that's not in brackets should also have a subject and a verb. So I want you to go down through those sentences and I want you to underline the subjects and verbs, and there should be 2 subjects and 2 verbs in each sentence. Does that make sense? So that's what, and basically, I didn't say this before, but I want you to do all that on the page that I made a photocopy of you for, because that's what I want you to do on that. And then on page 204, we're going to do a similar type thing. And I want you to, on page 204, exercise B, I want to go down through there, and I want you to go down through there, take the next few minutes, pause the video, and go down through there and see if you can circle the subordinating conjunction in each sentence. And once you have tried to find one in each sentence, and you can look back at that list before if you want to, then you can start the video up again, and then I will be telling you what you should have circled. So pause the video, do the circling. Now we're ready to start again. What you should have circled in 1 is when. What you should have circled in 2 is because. What you circled in 3 is as soon as, 4, then, 5, if, 6, then, 7, as long as, 8, where, 9, if, 10, then. Now I want you to go back through and put brackets around the entire clause. Like for number 1, your bracket should start with when and end with rope. And so do that with all 10, and then come back to the start again and draw an arrow from the clause, the adverb clause, which is when you reach the end of your rope, and draw an arrow to the word that it describes, which in number 1 is tie. So what you should have done for number 1 is you should have circled when, you should have put brackets before when and after rope, and then your arrow should go from that clause and be to tie. For number 2, you should circle because. Your brackets should go from before because to after me, and then your arrow should go from because he had dealt bountifully with me, should go to that to will sing. Now, in most cases down through here, it's going to be describing the verb, because these are adverb clauses, which means they are describing a verb, but not quite always. Sometimes it'll be an adjective or an adverb that it would go to. So I want you to do the rest of these and make sure you do this on your worksheet that was provided in your packet. You can do it in your book also. In fact, it would be good to do it in your book also, but for sure do it on your worksheet because I want you to turn that in. In fact, on 203 and 204, I want you to, do those on both your worksheet and on your and in your workbook both, because I want you to then turn these worksheets in and or put them in your packet so they get picked up tomorrow morning, and then in tomorrow's lesson we will actually go through and say what you should have done on these, but I'll still have it so I can actually score it. Does that make sense to everybody? And if you have any questions about all of this, you can feel free to do a video chat or a video conversation with me using this program. If that all works out, if you have questions, make sure you say that to me. Now, we have one more thing yet to do on page 205. On page 205, what first thing we need to do is we're going to be working on diagramming adverb clauses, but before we do that, I want to do a bunch of markings in here. So what I want you to do is I want you to go down through here and circle all of the subordinating conjunctions. Same things that you circled back on page 204. Actually, I forgot to finish instructions for 204. Let's go back to 204, exercise C. On exercise C, all you're supposed to do there is go down through and pick out the subordinating conjunctions and then underline your clause. So you go through on page 204 and circle your coordinating conjunctions, and on page 205, go down through and circle your coordinating conjunctions. Pause this and do that. And then once you have that all done, then start it up again. So pause. Okay, start again. You should have, the ones you should have circled is although, and then on the third line, after, and then on the next line, when, and then on the next line, because, and then on the next line, whenever, next line, unless, and on that same line, no, actually after whenever, it's 2 lines later where you have unless, and then on that same line, as if, and then on 2 lines later, right at the beginning, so that, though, on the same line, next line, if, and next line, then. I'll go down through it one more time. First line, although, third line, after, fourth line, when, fifth line, because, sixth line, whenever, eighth line, unless, and as if. 2 lines later, so that, and though. Next line, if. Line after that, if. Line after that, then. Now what you do on those is you go through and underline the whole adverb clause that goes with those. On 205, the words you should have circled are number 1, after, number 2, as if, number 3, if, number 4, as, number 5, as long as, number 6, as, number 7, if, number 8, though, number 9, when, number 10, as long as. Now, the next thing I want you to do on that, on these 10 are, we need to pick out the subjects and verbs. So what you should do is on sentence number 1, you have after, and the clause that goes with that is after they trusted Christ. So within that clause, there is a subject, they, and there is a verb, trusted. So underline they once and trusted twice. And then the rest of that, the new converts were baptized. There is another subject, converts, and another verb, were baptized. Does that all make sense? So you should have underlined they once and trusted twice, and convert once and were baptized twice. Now, I want you to go through each of these rest of these sentences and do that same thing. Underline subject, and there should be 2 subjects and 2 verbs underlined in each one. So you pause this and do that. Now, what you should have underlined in 2 is stood quietly and nothing had happened. For 3, you want and you must earn. Now, notice in both cases, the word I say first is what's underlined once. The words I say second is what's underlined twice. Number 4, man thinks and he speaks. Number 5, you may go and you return. Number 6, we crossed, alligator surfaced. Number 7, chance ruled and science would be. Number 8, coast seemed, danger lurked. And number 9, you fail, and then it's you again that can, you fail, and then the subject of the second one is you again and try. So you should underline you once, fail twice, and try twice. And number 10, grades did suffer, and Tabitha could play. Okay? Now, you'll notice that part 1 of your sheets is a set of diagrams. And we're going to diagram the first 2, and then you'll have 5 of them to diagram on your own. So number 1, Notice on the diagram there's that dotted line. And on the dotted line is, for number 1, I have written after. The word that you have circled in those sentences is always what you're going to write on the dotted line. And then the word that you write on the dotted line, after, then at the bottom of the dotted line, notice in the sentence, your first word in the sentence is after. And then you have the subject they. So the they goes on the bottom line there where I have it written in. They trusted, and then after trusted you should put Christ. And then on the top part of the diagram you should put converts were baptized, and then under convert should be the and new. Does that all make sense? Let's try number 2. For number 2, you should put as if on the dotted line. Both those words. And you should put nothing on the bottom for the subject of the bottom part, and had happened for the verb of the second part. Can you see how I wrote that there? Then for the subject of the first part, it should be he, and the verb should be stood, and then quietly should be under that. See how that is? Okay, and so I want you to then take the rest of I would like you to try to diagram the rest of the sentences that are listed there, 3 and 5, and then on the back you have 6, 7, 8, and 10 that you should do. Okay? And if as you're going through here you have any questions, feel free to message me or that sort of thing, and I can help you solve it. Now I know this was a pretty big assignment. We've gotten just a little bit behind, but if we get this assignment all done today, tomorrow's and the next days won't be quite as big, and we're doing it so that Friday we probably won't have any English grammar. So if you get this all done, then it'll make it so we won't have any English grammar on Friday. So I am finished with that. So I hope that all works. You all have a good day, and we will talk with you tomorrow.